Hi, fifth graders. Welcome back to Persuasive Writing. Today is session 12, and today we are writing our second body paragraph. So today we're going to be talking about transitions along with those sentence starters that we worked on in our last session, but we're going to be pushing our thinking even further. So here are some ways to push our thinking. So when we're unpacking that evidence, we want to directly relate our thoughts to the evidence. So you have been using sentence starters throughout your writing, especially in your informational writing. And one of the ones that I saw a lot was, this is important because, or this proves that. Those are fantastic sentence starters and you can feel free to use those. However, I would like to see a little bit of variety, okay? We don't want to be repeating the same thing over and over. So here are some other ways that we can push our thinking and start those sentences in a different way. So we can say, to add on, in other words, that is, the important thing about this is, as I say this, I'm realizing, this gives me the idea that, an example of this is, this shows, another example of this is, this connects to, the thought I have about this is, the reason for this is, another reason is, this is important because, on the other hand, this is similar to, this is different from, this makes me think, and also this proves, okay? So here are some phrases that you can use, and I'll be posting this along with this session so that you can take a look at this as you're writing. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and I have looked at my persuasive essay outline, and I have decided that my second reason is that kids should play team sports because it relieves stress and improves kids' mental health. So I've gone ahead and I've written my second body paragraph because I wanted to make sure I had enough time to talk to you about how I did it and how I included my transitions in there as well. So what I did was I went through and I looked at my outline. I know I have to have 3 pieces of evidence, unpack them all, and then finish off with my closing sentence. So what I did was I copy and pasted my topic sentence. Another reason kids should play sports is because sports relieve stress and improve kids' mental health. Okay, so that's my second reason. Now I'm going into my evidence. According to recent studies, so I'm going back to my boxes and bullets. See how I have this long wordiness here? What I did was I went through and I figured out, okay, I would like to directly quote this statistic because it is important, but I can word this part in my own words. So that's what I did. According to recent studies, notice my sentence starter, adolescents and young adults are 5 to 8 times more likely to report symptoms of anxiety and depression than kids who lived at the height of the Great Depression. I thought that was just such an interesting fact, so I wanted to include that as a direct quote. Then I went on and paraphrased the second part. Too much stress can cause social, emotional, and academic performance. This was the original sentence. Excessive stress interferes with one's ability to function socially, emotionally, and academically. I put that in my own words, okay? So now I am going to highlight where I included my transitional phrases, and as you can see, I took this one from this Ways to Push Our Thinking chart. So let's go back to mine. I had written, in other words, so I'm going to highlight that transition phrase. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to be highlighting your transition phrases as you're writing as well. In other words, so I'm putting this information in my own words, kids are getting more and more stressed as time goes on, which is leading to many negative side effects. So I put that in my own words. That is me unpacking this quote. I'm telling you what this quote is meaning. My second piece of evidence. As found in a Stanford University study, using my sentence starter, 56% of students said that homework was a major cause of their stress. This stress caused headaches, lack of sleep, ooh, I noticed a typo, lack of sleep, comma, exhaustion, and weight loss. Now, I again paraphrased this. This was the original quote. I thought it was a little bit too wordy, so I put it in my own words. And another thing to point out is that as I went through and I looked at my writing to think, I found that I didn't really like the way I worded it, so I rephrased it. Originally, I had said, sports give students a break from all the homework that is stressing them out. But when I went to write it, I thought, you know what, that's not really me adding my own voice. I want to make it sound a little bit more exciting. So what I did was I said, this makes me think that, I used one of the transitional phrases, and that's what I want you to be doing. This makes me think that if students played sports, they would get a break from their homework, which would reduce their stress. So I'm telling you what I'm getting at by including this evidence. I'm showing that yes, homework is a huge part of their stress, But this makes me think that if students played sports, they would get a break from that stress. So I'm connecting it back to my reason and my claim. Third piece of evidence. In the article, Exercising to Relax, it was said that exercise actually reduces the body's adrenaline and cortisol, which are stress hormones. It also increases endorphins, which are natural mood boosters and painkillers. Again, I paraphrase that. This was my original quote. It was a little bit wordy. It was a little bit too much. I decided, you know what, I already used one quote. I would suggest only using one direct quote per body paragraph and paraphrasing the other two. So use that as a general rule of thumb. Try to only use a direct quote for one piece of evidence and paraphrase the other two to avoid using too much of somebody else's words, okay? Okay, so I paraphrased that. I cited my source. And I decided to change my writing to think. Originally, I said sports are directly related to reducing stress in the brain, but I decided to change that to exercise actually reduces the body's adrenaline and cortisol, which are stress hormones. It also increases endorphins, which are natural mood boosters and painkillers. This proves that, okay, so I'm using a transitional phrase, pushing my thinking. This proves that exercise has a scientific positive effect on our state of mind. What I'm saying is there's a scientific explanation as to how exercise improves our state of mind. Now, I wanted to wrap up with a closing sentence that, yes, touches on the topic of my paragraph, but also gives a little bit of my personality and my voice. So I said, who needs medicine when you can exercise your stress away? So feel free to be a little bit more engaging and fun with those those closing sentences, because this is the chance for you to really include your own personality and your own voice, okay? You don't have to just rephrase exactly your reason. You don't want to just say, again, exercise reduces stress. That's boring. Try to incorporate something a little bit more engaging for your audience, okay? All right, so as you can see, what I've done is I've written my second body paragraph. I followed the outline that was on my, I followed the structure that was on my outline: topic sentence, evidence, unpack, evidence, unpack, evidence, unpack, closing sentence, okay? Very repetitive. We're going to be doing the same thing for all the body paragraphs. Then I looked at my boxes and bullets. I decided to use a quote right here and paraphrase the rest of my evidence. I also decided that I didn't really like what I wrote for writing to think, so I restructured it, which is perfectly fine. And what I did was I went back and highlighted my sentence starters and my transitional phrases. So I want you to be highlighting in one color your sentence starters for your quotes or your evidence, and then in another color you're highlighting your transitional phrases where you are unpacking your evidence. And what I want to do is go back to your first paragraph, because I need to also highlight these as well. So I had already written this proves that, so I'm going to highlight that. I had written in order to, that's another transitional phrase. And then I also wrote this shows that. So you need to be going back to your first paragraph and also highlighting those transitional phrases in there as well. If you find that you don't have any, then you will need to include those. Okay? As you can see, these are all transitional phrases. As a result, consequently, those are all transitional phrases, and you've had lots of experience with them in the past. In order to, another transitional phrase. Okay, so we are going to be doing that today. You're writing your second body paragraph, making sure you have those transitional phrases in there along with your sentence starters for your evidence, and make sure you get those highlighted as well. Make sure you're including your personality in there, spice it up a little bit, and let us know if you have any questions, okay?